Yes, and welcome to the Portress podcast for episode 2 of season 2017. It's Matthew, and with me tonight again, Craig. How you going, Craig?
Not too bad, mate. How you doing?
Good. So off to a bit of a shaky start. First quarter, deja vu all over the social medias, and everywhere I looked and turned, it was deja vu and what were the guys doing over the summer? But turned kind of just like a shaky boat, or and you get the captain to kind of get his groove going. He finally steers the ship in the right direction, and 1 point loss. The result was never an issue. We saw some really good signs, and we should go through some of those things tonight. Some of the things we saw in the game where we saw some exciting things for this year from some players, but also some concerns and worrying trends, and even an interview with Jack Homsch, which really just felt like a heck of a lot of deja vu from last year's interviews, where there was a lot of promise and a bit of disappointment. But ultimately, what did you think of the weekend's game? The Thursday night's game there, Craig?
Disappointing at the start, but showed signs of where we could be heading for this year nearing the end. Chad looked a little rusty in the middle. Give him time, I reckon he will be able to polish his midfield skills quite well. Westhoff was playing a wing role, so that's somewhat new for him. He has done that role before, but they're definitely looking to change the structure of the entire field, and I think they're still just trying to get used to all the changes that they're looking to make this year, but I think we've got a strong chance. So if we can come out this week against Richmond and show what we did in the second half against St Kilda for a full game against Richmond this week, that'll be more of a telling sign of what's going on with the club than what just happened with that one game against St Kilda last week.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. The good thing about, at 10 o'clock or whatever, at the end of the game last Thursday, I was far less worried than I was in the first quarter. I really had I'd seen so many other positives, and obviously, you almost don't want to delve into it too much, just because could it be a big waste of time, or should we just not go down that corridor and worry as fans? It's really something that's frustrating when it's out of our hands, But what is the mindset of the players? Is the leadership going to stand up from game one? Swans in Sydney, that's intimidating. Whether it be the new guys or even especially our leaders that really need to stand up and be quiet at different times and patchy actually over the whole game. You don't want to expect too much from round one of a pre-season game. It's but still you'd like to think some of the basics there, the ball, the easy kind of drops of the ball. Where's their concentration? Boakey just dropping catches and dropping marks, and just. The Benny Hill music was out again. I was sitting there going, I can just hear the tune, So when does that leave our club? When does the attitude that just I couldn't give a stuff tonight type of attitude? You could see it was an attitude, because when the guys came out that I think even midway through the second quarter, even to give the boys genuine credit from the second quarter, they were a lot more serious, and obviously it showed in the scoreboard. St Kilda's just dried up in their scoring from after quarter time, and credit to Homshi and Cleary, and we'll go into that again afterwards. But overall, the mindset. Why did we see that in that first quarter?
I really can't explain what happened there. As I said, I think it is due to the fact that we were trialling something different when they first came out, and it seemed like it was they're trying to get used to the different structure set up, having Jacko up forward, having Westhoff playing a wing role, having Patrick Ryder back on the field, even Nathan Cracker playing up forward.
Yeah,
we changed a lot of the structure to where these players are now playing different roles than what they were last year. So it's probably just a bit of teething, to be honest.
Could be him.
Hey, let's ask Jack Homsch and hear what he has to say. And this is what I felt was a bit of deja vu, but this is, is it a legit response to this question? And it's just what was up with that first quarter? Why did we see that?
Here we go.
That first quarter, it was very scrappy. Some of our skill errors cost us and turnovers, and St Kilda certainly capitalised on that. But I thought, from a positive perspective, we can take a lot from our last three, and we outscored them quite a bit in the last three quarters, and we started to play the type of footy we've been working over on the pre-season. But it's too hard to honestly get a real gauge. I think being the first competitive hit out, the game builds and it gradually goes over the next couple of weeks over the JLT series before round one. So we'll try and take the positives from this weekend and move that into next week's game and try and get the four-quarter performance.
Yeah, so I yes, good answer there, Jack. And you shouldn't be getting the question because your attitude from the minute you hit the blade of grass on the ground was just impeccable. He, if there was just another 21 Homshes with the touch and the confidence and the quality of his football, we would be absolutely outstanding to side, So,
Definitely.
Yeah, because he's going to be in for a wonderful season. He's got all Australian touch about him already. That's how I'm going out on a limb.
Hopefully, it all comes down to injury for him.
Injury and
hopefully we don't.
Sorry, just going to
so
say
we don't lose him like we did last year.
Yeah, no, injury definitely, and also recognition from the media outlets and just pushing his name out there and all the big Monday night shows and stuff like that. You made it in Victoria when you get into that inner circle and you've got Matthew Lloyd kind of knowing your name or something. Because I still doubt that a lot of the Victorian media would know all our players right through the list. Probably first 4 or 5, and they just couldn't give us stuff after that. I don't know. Maybe I'm being too harsh, but you get that sense when they're playing great. I think Jasper Pittard. It was last year, yeah. They had a stellar season, and when I was trying to push his name for All Australian and getting the eyes of the media in Victoria, yeah, it was just other players that were just getting a bit of a look in before him, and some of the other players of Victorian teams and the back defence, and it just I don't know. I just feel like this might be Homsch's year, just especially the way he played. It was really, really cool. Absolute A-grade performance, wasn't it?
Oh, definitely. He played some really good football. He was one of our best on the night. And when you were talking before about leadership, there was one person in the leadership group that really impressed me in how he went about, and I think he is definitely the best person we could have in this role, and that's the vice captain, Ollie Wines.
Yes.
I thought he played some good football. And it doesn't show signs of diminishment taking on that role, where unfortunately last year with Hammer, it did seem like he had diminished in his role taking on the vice captaincy. Yeah, no,
I feel like it's something that I agree with you. I think Ollie's just going to embrace it, and yeah, there'll be a lot of follow me with his actions, but I think he's just by saying that in a way would only dilute with his genuinely a leadership, off-field leadership kind of attitude he's got that would really inspire his team. And I think he can kind of, he can live up to both, on and off-field standards.
Definitely. He's definitely one of the better footballers in the AFL at the moment, and
well, he needs to back up.
Get some good players around him.
He needs to have a big year. He needs to have. It's his. I think.
Yes.
His fifth. He's 13, 14, 15. Yeah, he's his 5th year of football. There's no excuses. He's not. He's the player. I think this year he could become, barring injury. That would be the only thing, obviously, which is. All players would be like that. But I think he has the potential to kind of be the player that we recruit him for. This could be the year. Or would that be next year or so? Probably. He'll only get better in the next 2 or 3 years anyway, but this could be one of those years. This could be like Boak 2012, 13, 2011 when Boak started to really step up and play that elite football. I still think,
definitely.
I hope, I'm not sure whether Hamish can actually ever live up to the standard that he was recruited for. I'm not sure. Disappointing signs again on the just with some of the kicks and some of the positions where to play him and maximise his. Is he better? Would he be really good up forward? Should we be sticking to a defense quarterback kind of role when, whilst his leg's good for that, if he's not going to get in the right positions to be, useful, let's use him somewhere where he can just be really powerful.
I could see him playing a sort of half-forward role, but the problem is we've got so many of that type of player. We need him to step up into that half-back role or back pocket role so he can burst through the back and play some of the damaging football we know he can play.
Yeah, is the sample size of just one game against St Kilda and the way they played maybe just, we need not good enough. We need a greater sample of games and to really, but then again, I don't know how much we can afford to kind of, who's at Richmond, at Mount Gambier, would he be on kind of in a backline kind of role? I'm just trying to think.
I think that's where they're pushing it for him to be. I reckon they're pushing him to be one of our back defenders that can be the sort of breakthrough defending role.
So he's not manning a player. He's not actually kind of on Rewald or anything like that. He'll be more a loose man.
No, he's more of that smaller defender that can get the ball and run it out.
Let's hope he has a good game.
So breaking through the packs when the big guys are up there, he's crumbing the ball and getting it out. That's what the role I believe they're wanting him to play because according to what we've heard in the pre-season, he doesn't want to play midfield. So then this has to be his role. Yeah,
it's a tough one because so much talent, but what can he deliver? I really wish the best for him for this year.
Definitely. I've always had high hopes for him, but he just, I don't know, it's hard to say exactly what's going on with Hammer.
He could just come out and just from Sydney game, he literally just could, and it'd be like, it would be a nice surprise, and it's crazy because if he does really well, if he plays well, we're generally going to be really good. I don't think we can lose many games when he's playing really well. There's a few players in our side that we just, we really do. Whilst we do already see players that let us down, and we still can get away with a win. There are certain players that just literally it hinges on their ability to kind of really turn things around this year. It's a interesting year. Can you think of a year like the stage we're in now in the past? Can you reflect on a certain group of team, maybe our premiership side that built towards what I'm getting at, just the looking at the average age and just the way the shape of the team is at the moment. Can you kind of remember a previous time similar to this?
I would say it would have to be the premiership team where we were just trying to fit all the pieces together, and
2001.
We were slowly building that team up from 2000 to 2004. We did have that one hiccup year in 2001. We played finals football for majority of that time. We just couldn't get it done in the finals. We just had to keep finding the right pieces, and then 2004 we did it.
Yeah, because I think from my memory, if you look at this team to that team, 97, 98, 99, whilst competitive at times, there was a time when we were getting a bit of a flogging in the early days, had some big losses and stuff.
Yes.
And you could equate that to, I guess when Choco came in 90, in 90s, from 97, but when he came the coach 99.
He took over 99.
And you look back then and we got serious and started to turn things around. And I feel like this could be a year where, it's just a bit of a waste to see. You want to be able to look at Chad's career and Westhoff, and there's a fair few players right now that, whilst the team attitude and the team focus should be, very, very important, I'd say there's a lot of egos and a lot of personal careers that could be potentially going to waste if we're not competitive and we're not tasting September action and being a genuine title contender.
That's definitely true. And unfortunately, in the case of Justin Westhoff, like you were saying, how many more years has he really got left in him? To be honest, What would you say would be how much he's got left?
Three really good years, where because the way his body is, where he can still be useful. I think maybe in two years, depending on any kind of niggling injuries as he gets a bit older. But I think he's got one of those wiry go around for a couple more years. But I'm thinking in the next 5 years, if we're still just being a wannabe side like we are showing this last 2 years, if we're not getting serious and just really finding that trigger in our, that's when we're doing well. You know the things. It's the things we're talking about. It's the inferior weakness when we just go into our shell in certain games. It's the attitude from our lack of leaders to really stand and like they did in 13-14 when Ken was absolutely proud as punch that he was. Yeah, we even had a thing where it was just like my leaders. They lead on game day. We didn't hear we haven't heard that for a couple of years, or at least it's not been something that's been showing on the. And as whilst the guys, you can't question their effort, etc. And there is a gel, a mojo that's missing, and. Look, did they get it a bit and just grab onto it a bit for 2 to 3 or 4 quarters? Yes, I feel like, it's a bit of a new flavour. There's some real new talent that was, providing some positives as well. So, give them a go. I'm being a faithful believer of the club. Let's hopefully we get a nice surprise against Richmond and we find an opportunity to, start to see some good, linking from the back line and just you know what I mean. No, from coast to coast, we need to see some really good transition from the team.
Oh, no doubt. And this Richmond game is going to be a really big one. I mean, we've already seen they came out the next night after we played. And they played some really good football against the Crows and. That has me worried about how we're going to go compared to them because basically the two clubs that are getting compared at the moment are Richmond and Port Adelaide in what's going to happen with them. And
Damien
at this stage it looks like Richmond are still going to be jumping back up again. But this will be a true test this week, I reckon.
It's interesting too because I think we'd have, based on what Ken was saying, like the first game will be a lot of our top players will play, and then the next game, a lot of them will go out, and so they'll play the third game, which leads into the Swans game, of course, so round one. So this team, even though it might be a much younger side against Richmond, which really makes sense. I'm really happy that we get a full squad against Hawthorn leading to the Swans game, which is good. But this game against Richmond, I would like to say that, you look at the Swans game last year in the pre-season and the effort and there was no one went on that field and made an excuse that they were new. It was we pushed Swans and pushed Sydney. It was a real tease because it was probably one of the biggest games of effort for our players all year, and it was our youth. So hopefully what we see at the Richmond game is with this youth, because the side is definitely going to be without. Will Robbie Gray play? I'm not sure, I think, but certainly I think Boakey won't play. There'll be Chad won't play. I don't imagine Jacko would play. Maybe even Paddy, because they're all playing against Hawthorn. It'd be interesting to kind of see some of the other players. Tumpus will get a run, and Not sure how's injuries. Maybe with Frampton's not ready yet, is he? No.
Actually, is he injured at the moment?
No, I'm not sure.
I don't think he is.
So
I can't remember him being on the injury list.
So they'll get a run on the weekend. So it's really what we're saying is, at the end of the day, no excuses on your. Everyone's got an opportunity up for grabs for position. So if you can really get the transition and get that run going and get what Ken's looking at, there's an opportunity for a lot of players. I'm very excited by this game. It's a huge game, much bigger than the St Kilda game in regards to where we're looking at leading into the round one for position.
Oh, definitely. I'm having a look at this.
Yep.
Just through our injury list at the moment, realistically, they're saying 3 players are being monitored for their availability to play this week's game, and that's Robbie Gray, Darcy, and Matthew Broadbent.
Cool.
So they could potentially play this week.
Yeah,
Aaron Young, they're saying, could likely play this week. He did suffer a bit of a knock in the game, but he was all right. So realistically, you've just got Dougal Howard, Bonfries and Palmer, I think, are the only injured players at the moment.
Okay, cool.
So we could get a few. We could see Robbie Gray play this week for Chad Wingard and see how the difference is there. Same with bringing back Darcy, bringing back Broadbent, bringing players like Jimmy Tumpus. I think Matt White didn't play.
Yeah, let's go through some of the players. It's Needy's. What's his situation at the moment?
I'd say Jake Need will probably get a run this week. They probably want to see what he can do. They may, especially now with what's happening with our forward line coming into round one, they may want to get some more game time into some other players because we know we're not going to have Jarman Impey. We probably are not going to have Cracker. So they'll probably want to try some of these smaller guys to see how. So there will be a chance for the Carla Mons, who even though he did play, but Jakey Needs and all that, they'll probably get a chance this week and see how they go. Just
a quick one on Carl. I mean, if this guy just can find his way to just get the ball in his hands a lot more, especially around 50, what a kick! He's a dead-eye dick. I'd keep him in the forward line and really have him as a. Just tell him he's just got to get a lot more hungry but I know he plays an outside kind of role mainly. But just be a part of the play and just be more aggressive to just be getting involved in the game. And he would be he'd be pretty dangerous because he's right now definitely got potential, but is inconsistent. Also, 2 goals on the weekend, beautiful kicks, just no stress. Really led the way. Showed the rest of the guys who some horrible kicking in the weekend.
Oh, definitely. But you look at some of the names that did play. Yes, we did have a strong side, but we did have a few younger ones in there too. So it's a bit of a mixture. I mean,
do you reckon we'll see?
Some of the got.
Sorry, do you reckon we'll see Pal Pepper? Do you reckon we'll see Pal Pepper this year a bit more? I reckon.
I think he will. He's still learning. So the way I see Pal Pepper coming through will be like Ollie Wines 2013, where they were hoping to manage him through, but they just ended up playing him every single game.
Yeah.
But I think give him the chance alongside Ollie Wines, alongside Robbie Gray, and that could be a very damaging midfield. He just knows how to break packs and get the ball out.
You just look. I'm not getting any excuses for St Kilda were brilliant, but we didn't have Robbie out there, and to tell you what, whilst you don't want to be one man team,
no,
Robbie's just. I'm excited when you look at what Pal Pepper and the way he plays, and then you can bring a Robbie into the team, and it's pretty exciting. And of course, look, so I think someone who's one of our top players, and definitely in our 22, who wasn't there as underrated as Matty Broadbent. He is a. After what I saw in the last couple of years, he genuinely he should feel comfortable and that he's in the first 22. You know what I mean by comfortable, but he should. His quality of his output deserving of being a first 22 player. So he's and is another player that we look forward to seeing his kind of what he could have involved in on the weekend or Thursday night. Tom Cleary, I was impressed with. I really almost didn't recognise him out there. It's just like he sees that Carlisle's gone and bang. Sorry, Tommy's just straight away, and of course Jacko goes straight away, and it's a massive endorsement. I think he's where he might have maybe felt at times that he might go to Victoria or be out. Just not being considered by Ken in the past, but he was just doing the right thing by putting him in the Maggie's games and SNFL and just really developing him. And with the way everything's structuring now, he's obviously he's a first 22 player, and I'm really excited personally for Tom. I'm really happy for him, and
definitely. But he's still got one other hurdle to get over.
Yep, I'm sure.
Logan Austin.
Who's that?
Logan.
Oh, look, I think they can.
He didn't play.
I think they can work together.
I think they can work together too, but then you've got a defensive line of Jonas, Homsch,
yep,
Cleary, and Austin.
Yeah, we know Jack.
Do you go for tools like that?
Well, then again, one's on the bench. I'd like that team. I'd like that group. I think, there's a lot of tools, a lot of AFL.
But then unfortunately, from there, we don't have really any more backups as tall defenders. We've now gone to the point where we are at the last line, and then if that's the case, then we have to put Trengro back there. We're going to have to put someone like a Westhoff playing defence if we lose a lot of those guys too quickly.
Yeah, true.
So we are stretched a little thin now in that defensive line, but I could see all four playing. Yeah, no,
let's hope they're all in form and they all work well together. And
yes,
do you see Billy Frampton getting a game in the AFL this year at all, or are you going to look in? Is there?
I think there's a possibility, but again, his problem's going to be he is basically being trained as a ruck. He's going to have to come in for a Patrick Ryder or as a tall forward that goes into a ruck that would probably have to cover someone like a Dixon for him to get a chance.
Yes, it's almost like you could call it like a certain no offence kind of brigade, where essentially no offence, but we don't want you playing a game this year in the PL because if you are so and so is injured, we are struggling. We've lost 10 games in a row or something. Yes. There's bad reasons why you're going to be playing in the Power Guernsey. So
correct.
Yeah, and look.
I mean, it was the same with Dougal Howard last year. I'd say the one reason he got a run last year was because we had no option.
Exactly.
We had no rider. We lost Schultz for a while, and Lobie just wasn't playing to his best, and we needed someone who could go forward and ruck, and Frampton just wasn't ready. But Dougal Howard just had that bit of an edge on him, and he got to play some football. Yeah, and unfortunately for Frampton, that's going to be the same case. If we lose some players and he's the next in the line, then he'll be the next in line.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see who out of these guys is going to be playing in the first round. I would suspect, as I say, Pal Pepper has probably got a pretty good chance to look in.
Correct.
Riley Bonner, definitely. He's in, locked in. Him on one side, and then you got Jasper on the other, then Darcy Byrne-Jones, on the bench or in the back line there. Some of the other tools around look, it's a very strong team and they're very attacking defence. So,
definitely.
It's interesting to see what kind of happens from there, and that's what I'm saying. I can almost justify seeing that you don't need Hamish in that back line. It's tall and strong enough, and you look, it's only back in numbers where he can go back, and then he can play. I'd love him to be essentially roaming right around the midfield and just being on the wing. I think he's best.
He won't play. I think he's pretty much adamant he does not want to play midfield. That's where I think the problem is.
Do you know the reason for that?
No.
It's not like he's ever expressed it in an interview. We never asked him.
No, but that's just been what has been said through the pre-season, is that he basically had told Ken in the exit interviews last year, I really don't feel I can play midfield. I don't want to play there.
So is he
This
open
is
to...
This is just what's been said throughout the pre-season. I can't say if it's 100% accurate, but that's just what a lot of people have heard throughout the pre-season here.
That's interesting. I wonder if he's open then to a forward line kind of role, or is it...
That's potential, but then again, who are you going to push out the forward line for him to come in?
Oh, I know, I agree with you, because like...
It's a very hard... It's hard to know what to do with Hammer. The Hammer dilemma. Be the best way to call it.
All right, let's have a little fun with it. If he had gone to... who was it? Richmond? Was he going to go? Or North Melbourne? Who was the side that was going to be... Maybe the Kangaroos were looking at him at one stage.
Hammer was definitely looked at by the Kangaroos.
Okay, so let's go with North Melbourne. Where would he be there then? What position?
Oh, I would say he'd probably be playing off the halfback or something. They probably would have put him there instead of picking up. Who's that guy? It wasn't Atlee, was it? That they picked up from.
Not sure.
They basically did a player swap with I can't remember what club it was, and they basically switched a halfback for a halfback.
Yeah, I saw the game with.
I can't remember I can't remember what that trade was though.
Okay, no, and I know what you're saying, but essentially he'd be in that back line as well. So is he not got the tank for the midfield? Is that? Do you think that's? Is it a?
I just don't know if he's comfortable playing in the midfield.
Yeah.
I think it's just more the comfortableness of playing as a midfielder.
No, I let's hope he has a good year in that back line there. And although I just like I say, I'm sure if position it's an interesting one. We're all around the field nowadays anyway, aren't we? But hopefully he can go with along with Darcy and the other guys there. Hopefully he can actually really do really well this year.
Oh, definitely.
What else was I going to say? What did you think of Pollock's game?
Pollock, I thought he played all right. He didn't light it up like he usually can, but when in the moments that he did play, he played well.
He was competitive.
He just needs to do it for an extended period of time.
He was competitive. I really liked what he did there. He showed some really good signs. He was involved in the game. He's like some of the goals that we got, he was involved in, and very very good. Matty Lobe, did you feel like he justified being considered?
I don't think he played good at all. He's still showing those signs of I don't want to say laziness, but it just didn't seem to me like he's still nowhere near where he should be. We've seen him at his best, and he is so far off that mark, I don't know if he'll ever get back to it.
Interesting. Yeah, no, he just struggled at times in the game, but I was hoping it was just down to the. I know
his stats don't help him either.
The thing
his
is,
stats in that game
exactly
really
right.
didn't help him. I know he probably only played maybe a half game, I think it was.
Yeah, and he did some good things. He got into positions and he marked some balls, and he had some positive signs. But when you look at the numbers and you see overall, just I don't know. I'm not going to rule him out completely yet, though. And
no.
I know his attitude and the type of person he is almost chalk and cheese to the ability that he's got showing right now.
Yes.
Like he's a really quality type guy. You're almost hoping like he wouldn't be listening to this anyway. But all the other media that the SA media, football media in general, that I hope he's got a thick skin and as a person, he seems like he just wouldn't even bother, wouldn't even listen to it. If he's projecting, you know what I mean. We don't really know. He's at home kind of actually looking at it and being depressed. But my point is that he comes across as a guy that just couldn't give a shit anyway.
No.
He's probably just knows what he needs to do and what he's trying to work on. It's hard enough just daily trying to just get himself back to some touch and so he can be an impact. Hey, was this his last? No, he's got 2 years. 2 years left.
I can't remember now. Let me have a look.
Because
I lost it again. I had the list up, but I lost it now. Let me just give me a minute. I'll just find that list again that I had.
No worries. While you're doing that, Brett Eddy, do you think he could justify himself being in the team, being essentially the next Schultze for us?
Definitely. I think he only played a half game.
Yeah,
I believe he only came in the second half, so his stats look down considered, but from what I saw of him playing up forward, he played well. He just had a bit of the yips up forward. That was his only real problem.
I'm going to jump out on a limb, and I reckon he'll kick a bag this year at some stage. One of the games, it'll just be, just a twilight game or something against, I don't know, one of the lower sides or something or whatever. I don't know how the circumstances is, but I just know I've got a feeling he's going to have one of those games where he kicks like six or seven goals in the game. I just feel like it's going to happen. It's going to be one of those days. His family's there, and it's just like, I don't know. We'll have one of those moments throughout the year.
Definitely.
Brett Eddy. I love him. I'm a big fan of Eddie, and I love the fact that we've got Eddie. And the name Eddie has been taken. We can have our own Eddie, and hopefully our Eddie can kick some magic goals from the pockets, and we can have a chant of Eddie somehow going for us and our.
Oh, definitely. As I was telling you before the show, had Brett Eddy kicked straight for just one of those kicks, we would have won that game. And as I said, first game yips, he's never played in a stadium like that before. He's never really done anything at this level. And even playing for South Adelaide, he's played final series. He's played at Adelaide Oval, yes. Probably he would have played in front of bloody say 20-odd thousand fans in finals at Adelaide Oval, especially against Port Adelaide. But I think it's just a different beast, the AFL, and he's still just got to get used to the massive change of the game.
Any other players you want to talk about in the game? If we quickly just let's bundle a couple in. Give me a bit of feedback on Ebert, Young, and maybe even Jacko. What's your thoughts on their games?
Jacko, I thought played all right, considering he was playing up forward. He did kick a goal. He got a lot of the football. He's going to be more of that marshalling forward defender kind of role that can sort of muscle the guys out and probably feed the ball to someone else to kick a goal. But he can kick it when he needs to. So I'm happy with his game.
Yeah, I felt that. I agree.
I was a little disappointed with Tom Jonas.
Yeah, Tommy Jonas was a bit quiet.
He was quiet.
He didn't have a lot of game time though, from my memory. Is that
right?
No.
I think he only played a fraction of the game, so that's fair enough. And same with Aaron Young, he didn't play heaps of footy again. But as I said, he did somewhat get injured. He got a minor knock to the chest.
That's right, and
so that's fair enough. Then he probably wasn't feeling the best. And you don't want to push a player like Youngie to go hard in a game that's meaningless.
Gee, I'd love to see Trav have a really big year, and Ollie together, captain, vice-captain, those guys, and even you could bundle in someone who had a pretty good game, actually, Brad Ebert on the weekend. Those three, I would be expecting some massive involvement of these guys, affecting our season.
Definitely. I'd say Atlee's probably not ready to play AFL yet.
Yeah, I agree. No, he's not ready. He'll play for the Magpies.
Same with Aiden Johnson. This has got to be his year to prove something, and I'm not sure if he's going to make it.
Yeah, got to play for the Maggies all year, those two, I reckon. I agree.
They'll probably play. Joe may get a chance, but I'd say if they did elevate him, Dan Houston would probably be the one that would get an opportunity this year to jump up.
I was going to say, let's talk about Houston and that kick to Paddy Ryder, and it's like Need's kick in that game against West Coast back in 2013. That dart. I thought to myself, there, you're quality. Yep, you're
definitely quality.
He's even got himself potential for first 22, and he would be. He'd certainly be looked at, wouldn't he? I mean, I would just be. I reckon he will. I reckon he'll be.
Well, we have 2 spots on the senior list that are open at the moment that 2 of their rookies can fill.
Yep.
You would say Brett Eddie's got 1.
Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely.
So it comes down who's going to take the second spot, and I'd say that answer probably will be done this week with the Richmond game because we are going to run a younger team this week, so you'll still have a player like Brett Eddie playing. Houston will probably still play. You'll see Atley. You'll probably see Willem Drew play this week.
Yep.
Another one of our rookies.
I'd like to see how Archie goes.
Yes, I would say another one of our rookies that could potentially be getting a jump up to the senior list is Jared Lynott. Yes.
Now it'd be really interesting to see what happens. We obviously did some reviews on those guys last week. And
I'd be very interested to see if they play a certain player this week as well. Emmanuel Ira.
Yes. Yeah.
I wonder if he'll get a game this week or not.
That's what I was saying to you, mate. There'll be a lot of those guys, a lot of new names.
Definitely. Well, Ira and Lynott are both
Jesse
mature
Palmer?
age rookies.
Is Palmer coming back from injury? No.
I'd say not. He's still probably got a bit of a groin problem, so he'll be probably in doubt for round 1.
Will Snelling and Peter Adams, none of them are injured? No.
No, Will Snelling was listed but didn't get to play, along with Jake Need and Willem Drew. So none of those 3 guys played on Thursday, obviously, but they were listed to play.
Now, we touched on anyone else on the weekend. Jasper was a little bit quiet again, but I'm not doubting, his ability to have a good season. Was Matty White? He didn't play.
He didn't play, no.
No, Charlie Dixon.
Dixon was quiet, but I believe he's still being managed through something.
Yeah, I feel like he was just looked a little injured or something. Looked a bit bothered throughout the night. But when he gets it going, he's kicking. Just get the ball in his hands. That's what we need within range, because he can play when he can. When he can. But there's no grey area. It's either hot or cold. What I was hearing
and saw in the game, the players are still dropping the ball on the forwards' heads when they're kicking it up forward, and that's a bit of a worry sign for me. Kick it straight to their chest, not to their head. Please. If you kick it to their chest, they'll actually mark the ball and be able to kick a goal.
Got to go with your first, or at least your second option. The third and fourth options are just ridiculous, and that's where the Benny Hill music was coming in when they were just. It was a bit embarrassing.
Yes, at times, unfortunately, but we'll work it out.
All right, let's. Anything else you want to touch on about the on-field before we kind of just quickly touch on the Richmond game and then get into some off-field stuff?
And there's one other player we probably haven't mentioned from that game.
Yes.
And that would be Sam Gray. I thought he was average.
Yeah, obviously involved in the goal that Paddy got in the corner there, and that was a good little sign. But yeah, again, where he needs to have, he's especially got I guess a pressure behind him to really make sure he's performing in every game. So otherwise, straight away he could find himself stringing Maggie's matches together. And I would like to see. And it's funny, for those listening right now, probably hearing I can't fit 28 into 22, and so there are. I would like to think that. It's just a nightmare for selection for round 1. I would. That's what we want to get to a point where so many players are saying, then I guess the pressure is from there. They play really well because they know that their spots up for grabs at any time. If we can create some depth this year, that'd be. In a way, it would make sense, when you look at players that you just go, oh, that's right, Brendan Archie's still on our list. So you think, why are we not really? If he's on our list, why aren't we absolutely banging down the door of the top 2 or 4? In the competition. So we need to say to him and some other players that this is a make or break year for you, and I'm talking at different levels, whether that be a make or break year for Hamish Hartlewood or Cameron Hewitt.
Oh, definitely.
At all different levels. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's definitely going to be. I did finally bring up that list I was looking for.
Yeah.
And what was the question you were asking me? I can't remember now. I can't remember who we were talking about.
No, you're not talking about the North Melbourne.
Oh, but no, it was before that. We were looking up for a certain player in his contract when it was up.
Oh, so Matty Lobe, how many has he got? 1, 2 years?
2 more years. He's end of 2019.
Okie-dokie. So that's where we know.
So, there's
Otherwise,
few players.
2 years of the Maggies.
Don't like the sound of that. But there's other players we've got a few coming up for contract this year. So it'd be very interesting to see what happens there.
Interesting. Okay, well, let's hope for a really strong competitive game against Richmond. So that's on 4:30, I believe. Is that right? So that's twilight this Sunday at the Mount Gambier Sports Ground.
Yes, I believe so.
It'll be on Foxtel, and that's a nice segue. Let's go from it'll be on Foxtel this game to potentially this year for South Australians. Now, I'll let you know straight away. I'm not too affected by it because I'm just being honest. I've got Foxtel, and I'm up here in the Gold Coast, and knowing that I need Foxtel, I'll go Foxtel in Adelaide as well. But when I come back up here, I knew. It's Foxtel,
no choice.
It's Foxtel, then bread and water and milk. It's very important that I have my Fox Footy because I'm up here in Queensland. So for you guys, have you got Foxtel, Craig?
No.
Oh, okay. So tell me how much this situation, and give everyone a bit of a background on what this is all about for anyone who has had their head stuck in a hole somewhere.
Yes, okay, so for those who don't know what's going on, due to the new footy deal with Fox Footy and Channel 7 and that, we have now lost 5 free-to-air games live in South Australia. And unfortunately, Port Adelaide are losing 2 of their games, and the Crows are losing 3 of their games live free-to-air. It will now be on delayed telecast, I believe, what it would be normally if it was a home game.
So we're going back to the 90s. We're going back to the 90s.
Pretty much. Going back to the 90s, where
sort of played
everything's bloody...
later. Oh my God,
everything's on delay, so...
Let's get out our tape decks and our CD players, our Walkmans.
I can see if I can bring up I've lost that article, but I'll see if I can bring up what the dates were. They actually did announce what games were going to be affected by this.
Yeah, let us know which ones. This is ridiculous. For the South Australian, Port Adelaide viewer, I obviously just say football in general, but
yes.
5 games where your team is... So the team is playing interstate at that time? They're not playing at home?
Correct. These are just... There's 5 away games in total for the 2 South Australian clubs. Now, the Crows are more affected, so... Yeah, but
I'm feeling for the Crows fans for those 3 games as well.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's not... I mean, for them, they've got 3 games. Their first away game is going to be delayed.
First away game, straight away on the bat.
Round 2, April 1st against Hawthorn at the MCG.
Fool's Day.
So... That's a big loss for them.
That definitely, especially on the first away game, with all the anticipation.
And Hawthorn at the G.
Whew.
So that's a big game that they're not going to get on free-to-air TV this season.
The Crows will be pissed about that. And they should. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, then the next game is April 22nd, round 5, against Gold Coast.
For Adelaide. Yeah.
So... that one's probably not as big of a loss, but at the same time, you still don't want to miss a game.
What about us? Which one's for
true
us?
believer. For us, we've got 2. Both games are at the MCG.
Oh.
Which would be our only 2 games at the MCG for the year, I'd be guessing.
Jeez.
Which are round 14 against Collingwood.
Oh, boy, boy.
Yep, we're losing our Collingwood free to air.
Oh, my God.
And round 18, July 22nd against Melbourne.
Okay.
So those are our 2 games that we're missing out on for free-to-air TV.
So they're going to be played a couple of hours later, and it's essentially, look, there's a lot of people that do have, the ability to get to a pub or get to somewhere to watch the game. What will you do? Would you get to the club or go somewhere to kind of watch the game on Fox Footy somewhere?
I'll probably be watching it on my phone.
Oh, right, yeah. Okay.
I'm with Telstra, so I get the AFL Live app for nothing.
Now, tell us a bit about that. There's a bit of interesting kerfuffle over that over the last couple of days. I'll give you my little part. I was absolutely delighted to see now, as a Fox Foxtel person, as a Foxtel viewer, I now been frustrated that the Fox Footy channel was limited to the iPhone only and wasn't able to play it on my laptop. Suddenly now the channel is now on laptop and I can actually, I'm looking forward to watching more. Like the power play, I'm always on the big screen. I take that over. My wife and the kids know I've already booked all those games throughout the year. This is my allowance out you get. But no other AFL games throughout the year. Like I'm liking the idea of this having the laptop as opposed to the iPhone. But there is a price that people have been paying for that now, and that's with Telstra, and people have been on their iPads and they're watching the screen is being limited down to an iPhone level. Is that right? Can you give me a bit more information on that as a Telstra viewer yourself? How are you affected?
I believe I'll try and tell you what it's happened from my perspective.
Go for it.
Last year they did the same thing. They gave the live app for free to Telstra customers. But what a lot of people are able to do, especially if you have an iPhone like I do, I basically mirrored my phone image to an Apple TV device so I could watch it on my TV.
Right.
I had no problem with that last year. They're no longer allowing that to happen. They basically found a way to block it so you can only watch it on either your iPhone, iPad, tablet, Android, whatever you've got. But you can only watch it on the smaller device. You cannot watch it on the big screen.
Okay.
They've done some weird thing where nope, that's not allowed because that's Foxtel own anything that's on the big TV.
Yeah.
But you can watch it on your little screen, no problem.
No, I felt as a Foxtel viewer, there's a big win for us, me as a viewer this year. I'm be honest with you, without sounding sorry to everyone else, but I'm really wrapped with the coverage and what we're getting. So
I'm fine with the coverage, but I don't see how Foxtel get dominance over a TV.
Yeah, no, I agree.
That I don't agree with. It's like, well, why is it such a big problem for people that are either paying for the AFL Live app or are getting it because of their package with Telstra? Why are we not allowed to then use that to stream it to our TVs as well?
And it's
we're still paying for it.
Yep.
It's just that Telstra is paying it for us this year if you're with Telstra, or you are paying for the AFL Live app to watch this. So why can we not watch it on a device we choose? We're still watching it through a device. We're just streaming it to our TV so we can watch it on a bigger screen. I don't see why that has to be such a big issue.
And the controversy also extends to the almost the deceivingness of Telstra to not mention this in the graphic change before people renewed their membership. So they've purchased a inferior product, essentially, where they were thinking they were getting one thing and then they've got another. And so it'd be interesting to see if that ever got to the courts or anything like that. Have you read anything in the
No, I haven't,
in the medias recently about that?
No, I haven't read anything about that. I saw that my live app, Telstra Live app, was coming up this year. Basically, the start of this year, it was like beginning of February. It was going to basically either start charging me money and I'm like, no, I don't want to be charged money for this. So I cancelled it, and then I saw, oh wait, I actually brought it back. So I just connected it back in, so I'm not affected by this whatsoever. So having a 1-year-old and limited income, it makes it very hard to spend money on things like that. So if I didn't have the app, I probably would have gone to the pub or something and watched the game.
So as I was saying, so you'll watch it in the live stream on Foxtel app, but
yes,
that's a shame that it's a really strange thing. I think it'll only, from what I imagine, it'll only get worse. Eventually, you'll have to end up buying your every game, or there'll be
something like that.
Interesting to see how long Foxtel can keep pouring this amount of money into the comp before, one day when you look at the Telstra type thing, there's no reason why AFL, just like a lot of other people, create their own medias and their own platforms. Essentially, I can see that eventually happening. I can see.
I just hope one of these internet streaming services comes in and buys up the rights to the AFL. Yes, you're still maybe paying for it, but it's going to be a hell of a lot cheaper than paying for fucking Foxtel.
Yes.
Sorry for swearing, but
no. It's getting late in the evening.
I'd be happy to watch it on Netflix. Pay my $12 a month for Netflix or whatever it is, and I can see a lot more people being generous to spend $12 a month, but you're getting all that extra content through a device like Netflix compared to, how much is it for Foxtel now with the Fox Footy package?
It's $90
$50 a month or something?
Yeah, it's $90 a month for me.
$90 a month?
Yeah.
You've probably got a lot of extras on there, though. I will admit.
If we've got to
I think
cover extra channels.
For just the primary, the basic pack and Fox Footy, you're looking at maybe $50 a month or something.
You're right. I've got a couple of the kids things and the movies.
Yeah. So if you're just getting basic and Fox Footy, you're spending almost $50 a month. Where if a streaming, that you could stream it to your TV like a Netflix, like Stan, and screw that.
Don't get me wrong,
which is now Foxtel anyway. Bugger them off.
I'll tell you though, Craig, for me, for the next to get my money's worth, I'll for the next 6 months or through the footy season, I get my money's worth. I watch every show as much, and there are times in that though. Yes, I'm happy to just record it so I can watch it later. I record almost everything, and that way I can just cherry pick what I'm going to want to watch. Fast forward this and that. And
that's fair enough.
It's the best. That's what I love about
Foxtel is good, but compare it to something like Netflix where you've got it on demand whenever you want to watch it.
Yeah, good point.
And I'm sure they could set up something to show stuff live on their devices.
Yeah.
I could see someone like that coming in and going, we'll buy the rights, have all their other content as well, but if they're showing live football as well as having other things that they could put on there, like a Fox Footy News or something, and they could have all those kind of shows on their devices, they could massively increase here in Australia.
Yeah, no, I like the Fox Footy channel, I really do, but also I know it's worth it because I'm a fan of the other sports. I'm a big NBA fan, and I've enjoyed the NBL and I like the soccer and stuff like that. Bit disappointed the EPL's not down there, but ESPN and that's good. So I'm quite happy with it. I think it's a pretty good value, but not everyone can have it. And what is really crazy is that the AFL somehow has dropped the ball on this one in regards to how essential it is for live AFL games to the nation. So especially in that it's not like it's a Carlton and the two Victorian teams. It's a South Australian team, and it's ridiculous. So they've done something horribly wrong somewhere where they shouldn't. They're just silly how this is happening. So, hey, let's just quickly before we go, we've got to wrap it up. There's nothing to see here in regards to Jumpergate. I'll be honest with you. I look at the numbers. If we got 11,000 people on the ground, 2,000 Gold Coast fans, how many people are locals? In the eyes of who's watching it on the screen, is probably where it's really important. I think that's where the concern on the fan base, and they follow the team in the red. But if we market it right, market it the right way, I feel there's a thing where they're just being friggin', let's not swear, but they're just being assholes for assholes' sake. I feel like that's the Gold Coast thing, and they are now maximising an opportunity for in the marketing side of things for the Gold Coast and having those colours. I can understand where they could see that as an opportunity, but when they've got money from us and we're building it, it's our thing, and they're invited by us. It just feels really. It is not important. I'm going to enjoy going to this China game, regardless of whether the jumper is the most shiniest, beautiful red and yellow. Gold. It doesn't matter what Gold Coast are wearing. It does not bother me. I'm still going to enjoy everything about it. So shut up, Crows fans, and anyone that thinks we're just whinging. I'm not whinging about it. It really isn't important. But it's on principle. It's just something that. It's a shame that that's not being looked at, where they are not wearing their white jumper, and they should be. It would be nice for them. I think they'd still market really well, and not have to be in the red jumper. But it doesn't bother me either way. It looks like they will wear the red jumper, so I don't want to kind of let it bother me. And will it really affect? It's funny, isn't it, Craig? You hear from these kind of people that let's just bundle them in, because there's a lot of Crow supporters in this Port Hate group, and these people that are throwing negative barbs about how no one's going to follow the game and there's no Chinese people going to watch it. Suddenly, the narrative is, haha, you're not getting those people. There's going to be lots of people watching it in China, and they're going to follow the Chinese kind of the red jumper. So again, with your hypocrisy, haters.
Of course, I mean, they forget. If you take the games that we aired in China last year, we had the biggest audience watching our games last year.
Already.
We had over 3 million people per game for those games that were shown in China watching Port Adelaide play football.
And KT said today something that really stuck out for me was, actually playing this game is really not as important as a lot of things we're doing off the field with our club. In regards to building relationships in China. And so it was look, he didn't say it verbatim in those words, but essentially the game itself is not, the most important thing. It's a real nice treat for us all, really. There's a lot off field that's far more important, and really the financial the financial kind of purpose for our lifeblood going forward in the future is really got almost nothing to do with what's happening on the field. So if there's some fans out there that are going to follow the team that loses, because even if they're in the colour red, they're going to be, hopefully our players as well do a really stellar a thing for our club and actually play really well and sparkle on that stadium. So it's a real non-issue to me, but one that where you go, it's a non-issue, but Gold Coast, for fuck's sake.
Oh, yeah, but look, what I think has happened with this whole situation where everyone's going on about this supposed contract, and Koshi saying, oh no, it was in the contract that they were going to wear their away Guernsey. Yeah. A lot of people aren't actually listening to what he actually said.
Yes, I know.
And that's the biggest problem I'm having with a lot of this is where the Crows fans and all these other people that are having a go at us, they're just going with
selective hearing.
the selective part that they've heard.
Yep.
What Koshy actually said was, what was in the contract is if Gold Coast wanted a multi-year deal, because we've got 10 years of football in China.
Yep.
And Koshy was happy to sign a multi-year deal with Gold Coast, provided that they agreed to wear their away strip.
That's exactly right. So, look, it's fine.
Gold Coast have come out and said, no, we're going to wear our red strip. Then Koshy's like, that's fine.
Exactly. That's what Koshy said.
You're not getting another game.
If you listen to Koshy's last interview in AA, I'm sure it was, I'm not even sure if it was with the sports crew. I think it was with the morning crew. And he essentially just said, oh, no, it's okay if they don't want it. It's just that we won't. They'll just have for 1 year. It'll be
someone else.
And so be it. That's great. That's what they'll get 1 year, and then I'm happy because next year I get to see Port Adelaide up here in Gold Coast again. So I have to go to China.
Like you said, there was at least 3 or 4 other clubs that were interested in playing in China. So
it's
if Gold Coast don't want to adhere to a multi-year deal and wear their home strip, that's fine.
And why would we want to work with them as well? If they're going to be so stubborn and stupid to wear that red jumper that's very much looks like the Chinese colours and really, it's attractive to the Chinese people. That's why we're doing it, because we're saying, hey, please don't go down this path. If you're going to build a long-term relationship with us, well then if after 1 year, fine, catch you later, because we're building this thing, and so we'll get another club on side. Like you said, there are other clubs. And
could you imagine a Port Adelaide Collingwood game in China? How big would that be?
Epic.
I could guarantee there would be a lot of Collingwood supporters jumping on a plane and heading to China to watch that game.
And if there's a lot of money, which there is in China,
yes, Eddie would salivate over that. I believe it was one of the clubs that said they would be happy to sell their game to Port to play in China.
Look, as we
but
say,
I believe the reason it was Gold Coast is a lot of behind-the-scenes AFL dealings, especially with Gold Coast's new CEO.
Yeah, with Mark Evans. Yeah, look, hey, if Gold Coast wanted to play their cards right with Port Adelaide, and they could still be building a really good relationship with us with this long-term relationship, in China. Like they're taking that quick bite and they're kind of beating their chest now for that short-term game. They should have a long-term game plan, and they're talking the short term now. But it'd be interesting to see what happens. They may still wear that white jumper and really realise, hey, there is a long term strategy that we should be working with Port Adelaide here. That maybe they'll have time to think about it between now and May.
No, what I think it is Gold Coast and probably Mark Evans reckons that Port Adelaide would just have to cave into the AFL demands and continue letting Gold Coast play. But that may not necessarily happen. We can turn around and say, well, we're not going to sell you the game. We do have that right to say, well, we're not spending $500,000 to give you another game in China.
Oh, I was just going to say that Port Adelaide would just why would Koshy even?
We won't spend that money.
Him and KT would look really weak if they wanted to deal with Gold Coast after this.
Exactly.
All right, mate. Well, I think we're sorting out all these things as we go along. This is we can sort out all the world's issues in one now, or at least Port Adelaide's. Thank you very much, mate, for another show. Anything else you wanted to touch on before we kind of wrap it up? Ooh, there's a bell saying that we're up for time.
No, that's fine. That was very loud.
Ding! Sorry.
I can't think of much else. I mean, we can speculate on who we're playing this week, but as I said, it's mostly going to be a younger side, so it'd be interesting to see who does get a game this week. I reckon Jared Leinart will probably play this week, and he'll be probably playing for a spot on the senior list. You'll probably see the likes of Jake Nee, you'll probably see Billy Frampton play some game time this week. We'll see some of these younger ones come through. We'll even see we'll probably see Willem Drew. May even see Todd Marshall and Laddams. Laddams play as well.
As we said,
might see a few of them play this week.
Maybe Archie would be interesting.
I'd say Archie will probably play this week. That wouldn't surprise me.
especially when there's still a squad of 29 down 26 by Sunday. Interesting. All right, mate. We'll have a chat next Wednesday and look at the ramifications of that game in regards to leading up to our third JLT Community Series game against Hawthorn down at Noarlunga that you will be a part of, and I guess I look forward to the podcast a couple of weeks as we have a chat about the game leading up to the Swans game, and obviously you being there live to see the Hawthorn game. And look out, by the way, for all our Portress fans, Port Fan Radio fans. Craig and I will be putting out some content also up on YouTube, and putting some stuff out just in the lead up to the beginning of this year. So keep an eye out for all that as well, and look out for the rest of the Port Fan Radio shows for this rest of this week on portfanradio.com.au, as well as the Facebook links for the Portress and for Twitter, and also, as I said to you, look out for our YouTube clips. Thanks, Craig. We'll see you next Wednesday.
Will do. See you later. Go Power.
Go Port Adelaide.